Hello, and welcome to SWLG Talks with the Spirit. I'm your host, Loyalty G, and today's topic is how to deal with the relative or spouse that has mental illness. So, of course, I always like to talk about related my topics to Scripture. So, of course, there are several persons in the Bible, King David, of course, Job, of course, Jonah and Elijah that dealt with stress. And when we talk about mental illness, it is related to stress of the mind, as related to psychological and your behavior patterns. So let's go to scripture as it relates to mental illness or some form of type of stress or depression that has been placed on a person. So, of course, with Elijah, the First Kings, chapter 19:4, Elijah cries out, "I have had enough, Lord. Take my life, for I am no better than my ancestors who are dead." Also, of course, King David, Psalm 6, verses 5 through 7. I am worn out from sobbing. All night I flood my bed with weeping, drenching, and tears. So, of course, when we talk about these characters in the Bible, the same thing is going on today. People are stressed out. It may be from their job, their relationships, but any type of stress that is placed on the brain that causes some form of anxiety towards a person's ability to cope in society brings about mental illness. So, of course, it is a disorder, a psychological disorder that affects the brain, that affects the mind, the mindset, interferes with your activities of daily life, which you would normally be able to cope with and actually carry on with life. So anything that would impair that ability to do that, that affects your mindset, that's the mental illness. So let's talk a little bit about mental illness. So, with mental illness, the most common type of disorder would be anxiety. We have depression. We have bipolar disorder, psychosis, schizophrenia. All of these things that are in the you can learn about them in the DSM-3 or 6 or whatever the number is, but it's the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, which as it relates to the American Psychological Association, APA. So when we think about America, statistics shows that about 42% of our people, of course, have some type of mental disorder, whether you are aware of it or not. So about 40, I think it's like 42.5 million. So which accounts to about 18.2% population that has some type of mental illness, depression, bipolar, or schizophrenia, in those ranges. And what's common among teenagers is anxiety disorder. They have generalized anxiety disorder where they're social anxiety, some type of trauma or something that has occurred that makes them anxious and fearful and not want to go in society and mingle with other teenagers as well. With mental illness, when we talk about onset, it's usually in childhood, and it usually it's shown more so when they are about 17 years old, and then older, of course, it progresses. No really known reason specifically, but for mental illness, but through research, of course, they've noted that there is some type of biological, maybe a chemical imbalance, genetics that may account for mental illness. Also, some type of trauma that may have occurred that has affected a person, it could be rape, it could have been a near-death experience or something like that. And then, of course, environment. Someone may have been exposed to some type of drug, substance abuse, and some mixed things. I noticed that when I worked at one of the largest facilities in Georgia, Georgia Regional Hospital of Atlanta, I came across a lot of younger persons that were coming in that suffer from bipolar, and a lot of other, they had been using some type of PCP or some type of marijuana that had been mixed with some type of illegal substance that brought about some type of psychosis, and they became paranoid. So parents and other and adults. So you have to be careful if you're smoking weed or any type of drug, pills that may have been issued to you that have not been authorized by a physician. You should not be taking them because you never know if they're laced, which could cause some type of reaction that could affect you and make you become mentally ill. Now, so we talked about the causes, which aren't really known, but research suggests that it's biological, psychological, some type of trauma, and of course the environment. So what are the signs of mental illness? How do you know that a person is mentally ill? So they have mood swings that are intense. They're always irritable. They're anxious as far as work. They may not be able to get along with others. They're agitated. They don't want to work with others. So it's really the mood swings. And over a period of time, if they have not gotten treatment, it gets worse. Psychosis occurs. And then you have someone that may go off on you at work when you're like, what's wrong with them? You know, they're snapping on you constantly. And, you know, it's quite embarrassing when they do these particular things. But we have to realize that it is a chemical imbalance or something that's going on with inside of the brain that is causing them to react that way. So how do you deal with the person that has mental illness or mental disorder? Well, always stay calm with them. If you can talk to them, empathize with them, see what they're going through, what is causing them to snap. And then sometimes you have to give them their space. And you give them their space to recoup. They may have not taken their medication for that particular day. And that's why a lot of times, you'll find people that are, they may not mean to snap on you, or their tone with you would come across in a rude or a threatening manner, or an uncomfortable feeling. So since I've worked in the mental health field, forensic units with those who have actually murdered someone or some type of aggravated assault, and of course the judge sentenced them to a mental health facility to do their time, which usually is probably maybe 2 years, 5 years, depending on the crime that they have committed. So what I found was a lot of times we would have to have them drugged up in facilities when they became, of course, aggressive. Now, everybody on the outside may not need medication, but they may need some type of an outlet, some type of counseling to talk about problems. Because as we discussed, even with the characters in the Bible, the stress on you brings about the mental illness. You think about if you just lost your job, if they did layoffs or cutoffs, or you got in trouble or something and you lost your job, that's stress. You've got bills to pay, you got little ones to feed. And so that's overwhelming and stressful. Or if you're on a job and you're not being treated fair, they're overworking you on the job, and unfair treatment. They have programs, EAP, where you can go to speak to a counselor, psychiatrist, and take some time off. Mental health is real, and you need to take time off because you don't want to snap, go on a job where you've been stressed out at home. It could be something you're dealing with that spouse at home. A lot of veterans, they come back from war, and psychologically they're not themselves, and they don't know why. It might be the trauma, of course. The other things have occurred while they've been at war or in the military, so they may act out. I was talking to someone that was discussing about how a spouse actually injured, his wife. Just didn't know, just woke up and just injured her. But of course, he'd been in war and all of that stuff, and just a buildup of pressure on you, stress. Losing a loved one, people become, depressed, and they just can't shake it. And so they're suicidal, losing, like I said, not only loved one to death, but loved one for breakups. You find people can't live without someone, and they become suicidal, they become self-injurious. He said, I worked it with teenagers who would, just cut open their arm because they were depressed and just didn't know how to deal with the anger inside. So, of course, it's the behavior issues that escalate and get worse over a period of time if they don't receive the treatment that they need. I've went on a case where this veteran actually kept bothering his wife, and she ended up hitting him in the head with a skillet. But of course, in that particular case, they both had to go to jail. And the problem was he wouldn't have gone, but of course he had a warrant on him, so that took him to jail. And I hated to do that, but of course, if he's got a busted head, she's hit him, somebody's got to go. So when we talk about mental illness, like we say, warning signs at the job, consistent late arrivals, frequent, they're absent, lack of cooperation on the job, and inability to work with others on the job. And when I say inability to work with others on the job, I don't mean it to the point where, okay, you just don't want to work with this person because, they may not be, they may be lazy when you're doing projects, and that they're lazy, and they try to stick you with the person and you end up doing work. Not that form of inability to work. The inability I mean is when you're constantly snapping on that person, those mood swings, and the person has not done anything to you. That's what I mean about it. Or you're deceitful and manipulative on doing certain things. So we have the signs of it, the mental illness, the intense mood swings, of course, irritable, just anything just sets you off. And we talked about which the cause is biological, psychological, and of course environment, some of the causes of it. So we talked about the tips. where we will, of course, you need to encourage the person to seek some form of help, some type of counseling, some type of medication, which of course the psychologist was talk to them about that. Say positive things to the person. When they want to talk about it, empathize with them, put yourself in their shoes and listen to them. Don't call them crazy. Don't call them stupid. Don't call them weird. All of these things are it's really nasty and rude to say that to anybody, whether they have a mental illness or not. Uh, you know, and you should understand that as a person, would you like to be called, stupid, crazy, weird, all of these things, even in whatever is considered to be normal environment? And it's just not a good thing, because it could cause that person to go off on you. That person may also decide to attack you. It just depends on the surroundings. So you want to not approach people in a negative way who have mental illness, even if you think it. I've been around people who've been like that, and I stay calm. And sometimes there's a disorder, personality disorder, narcissistic persons that you can be talking to them, they'll get into mood swings, irritable. They also will lie constantly, manipulate. They seek attention. So what they do is called gaslighting, or they'll say, "I didn't say that," and they say it, and when you feel like you've been around them enough, where you've got to record what they're saying, because you'll be thinking that they didn't say it, because they will be projecting self to you and saying things to you which are negative and untrue. It's the delusional entitlement type of person. That's that narcissistic type of person. And they try to double talk and over talk you as well. But you just have to stay calm and pray for people like that. You know that there's something wrong with them. It could have been they had parents that might have been narcissistic, mistreated them, or just stayed so on them that they, choose to do it in their adult lives. And usually they are smooth talkers, but then eventually people find out about them and they distance themselves. They they drive off energy to make you upset and get you thrown off path. But it's a mental illness. So I always tell people, uh, if you come in contact with a narcissistic person, you know what, you can't win. They're going to be arguing. They're going to double talk, try to over talk you. They're going to gaslight you and say, "No, I didn't say that." It's delusional behavior. So this is some of the things to understand about mental illness. It's a chemical imbalance. It's some type of biological thing that has gone on with genetics, which researchers are saying. It's psychological. Trauma may have occurred in their lives when they were younger, or even as an adult, may have been raped, or near death experience or something. And environment, they may have did drugs, mixed drugs with alcohol, pill poppers, or somebody laced something and caused them to have mental illness. But we always want to stay calm with them. There are group homes that have mental ill persons in them that they have treatment. They go to activity sections. They, just do activities at facilities. I know Grady has programs, Grady Hospital for the mentally ill, adults. Uh, Georgia Regional, of course, there's an in-house facility if you have a loved one that has some type of illness. But mainly get them the treatment that they need, counseling. Some of them won't go to treatment. You can't make them unless it's to the point where they're endangering, their children or themselves. You want to get them help. Of course, you would call 911. In Georgia, it's a demented person that, law enforcement goes out. They try to talk to the person. If not, they're given a 1013, taken in like Grady or whatever the facility is in Georgia, and they stay like 72 hours to get them on their medication and just to get them back on track. So um, that's basically it with mental illness. You want to stay calm with the person, um, get them the treatment and help that they need. Uh, you know, don't make them feel more embarrassed than they do feel, because, we're already, embarrassed by their behavior, and it can be done whether in public or not. Um, and they can't help it. And it is what it is. It is a imbalance, chemical imbalance. Um, so try to stay calm with that person. Don't call them crazy, weird, stupid, off the chain. Just realize um, that you're actually inciting, you're making the situation worse with people. And if you don't want to be called those things, and if you're considered as normal, you don't want to say that to another person as well. Now, so I hope that this session actually helped those persons who are living with loved ones that have mental illness. Sometimes it can be embarrassing to you to deal with them because of their behaviors, but don't make them feel so bad where it's causing them to be suicidal, even homicidal. You've had people that go on jobs, and somebody pisses them off, gets them upset and row, and they shoot up the place. And what we don't want to do is have something like that. It's very, it's a very dangerous situation. So you want to stay positive with people like that, and just realize that they have behavior problems, they have psychological problems. It is what it is, and you just have to be prayed up for them. You know, um, so we know about mental illness now. Um, they can't help it. It is what it is. Um, just you have to pray for them. You have to get them on the medication, get them the treatment that they need. You know, otherwise it does get worse. Studies show, of course, if it's over 20 years, about 6% of those persons commit some form of, they'll attempt suicide, or they actually follow through, and it does occur. And what you don't want to have is a loved one that commits suicide, and you took them over the edge into doing it, and also not only took them over the edge in doing it, but making them feel shameful, or feel like their life is not important to you, and that you are, you're pretty much tired of them and don't want to take time out to get them the help, because it is a lot of work working with somebody constantly with the same repetitive behaviors, acting out in public, embarrassing you in public, and being rude and nasty, and they just can't help it. It's unbelievable. Trust. So again, I would like for you to subscribe to this channel. It doesn't cost anything. Turn on your notification, comment on it. If you have any questions regarding this subject of mental illness, you can contact me at SWLGTALKS@gmail.com. Answer any question regarding mental illness, anything regarding business, law, relationships, or anything, spirituality, whatever you want to discuss and talk about that will help you better your life and your family's life. And again, go out and get my new book, God's Gifts Are Not for Free. You have to work them. It's on Amazon, or you can go to my website, SWLGTALKS.com, for the book. It's by me, G.J. Warren. God's Gifts Are Not for Free. You have to work them. So telling you to be proactive. Go to the website, SWLGTalks.com. You can get not only the the book, and this is the book again. God's gifts are not for free. You have to work them. G.J. Warren, that's me. And you also can go to the website and you can pick up your shirts. So, SWLG shirt. We also have pillows, these nice pillows for you. So that's SWLG pillows with the spirit. So make sure that you subscribe, and I look forward to hearing from you, and I will see you next Monday. God bless you.